Welcome to our show, The Great Talk. I'm Dr. Mohammad Rafiq Faruqi, Editor-in-Chief, CA Media Group, Gujarat. Today, we are going to have conversation with Dr. B.A. Parikh sir, the former Vice Chancellor of Veer, Narmad, South Gujarat University in Surat, and also the co-founder of Satya Sodak Sabha, Surat. Sir, I would like to welcome you once again in our program and put forward my sincere thanks for giving us the opportunity to share your invaluable experience with us. First of all, sir, I would like to request you, would you please introduce yourself to us?
My full name is Bhanu Prasad Amritlal Parikh. My primary education at Umred in Anand Taluka, school education at Umred, and college education at Gujarat College, Ahmedabad from 1948 to 1954. I joined Gujarat College in the first year in 1948, passed my BA with philosophy and psychology and English, and then MA with psychology in 1942. Immediately, I got an appointment as a lecturer in Darbar Gopal Das Mahavidyalaya at Aliabada near Jamnagar. My first 1 year career was at Aliabada, lecturer in logic and psychology. Then from 1955, I shifted to MTB Arts College Surat as a lecturer in logic and psychology. And then in 1960, I got introduced to psychology as a special subject in MTB Arts College, and I have spent my whole life from a lecturership to vice principal, principal, and then ultimately in 1991 I was appointed the Vice Chancellor of South Gujarat University. I worked as a Vice Chancellor for 2 terms, 3 years each, from 91 to 97, and I retired in August 1997. Since then, I am enjoying my retired life.
Great. Thank you so much for this brief and beautiful introduction. To proceed, sir, I would like to know how did you actually start the career? What was your college experience? And after study, immediately you were appointed as a lecturer. How was that? Basically, I would like to know your first challenge in life and your first achievement in life.
I was a brilliant student in the school. Naturally, in those days, the brilliant students used to prefer science and become engineer or doctor in future. But then I have my own ideas. I wanted to be an administrative officer in the government. So I preferred arts. So I joined arts college, and naturally being the brilliant in the matriculation in those days, I got scholarships also, and in inter-arts, I studied logic and world history. These 2 subjects, I can say, had a great impact on not only my mindset, but also on my views about life and education and science. In BA, there are great choices of different subjects. In those days, most of the students either would go for economics or they would go for English, Gujarati languages. I thought I do not want to go in this line. I want to do and study some special subject.
Correct.
Philosophy attracted me. So I preferred philosophy. But then, in philosophy in those days, only girl students used to prefer philosophy. So in my class of 20 students, 19 were girls, I only one was a male student. I thought now I should have some more time with my boyfriends. So instead of taking entire philosophy, there's 8 papers in those days, I took 6 papers special philosophy and 2 papers of English literature.
Correct.
I would say I did not know at that time what I shall be after passing this BA Philosophy and English. In BA Philosophy, I studied general psychology, social psychology, animal psychology, abnormal psychology, history of European philosophy, and history of Indian philosophy. These 6 papers. And in 2 papers of English, I studied 8 English literary books of different drama, poetry, essays, novels, all these things. Today I can reflect that, however, preferring English as the subsidiary subject, I lost my first class in BA because I could not score naturally the first class in English. I had first class in philosophy. But that I can say today, after having my introduction to English literature, 8 kinds of books, I understood a lot about different cultures, different poets, and that has contributed to my mental development. When I passed my BA, for the first time in those days, Gujarat University introduced psychology as an independent subject at MA level. And my professor, Professor Veer, he was my model. He advised me, now you join this psychology. So I joined psychology at MA level. However, some only 4 students joined MA psychology. But in examination MA, I was the only student who appeared for MA. Now, I still can say with pride and little that during my MA of 2 years, there are no regular classes in those days. I spent my entire 2 years in reading. I used to go to college library, even in the libraries in Ahmedabad city, medical college library, LD college library, MJ college, MJ library, all these Gujarat Vidyapit, and collect as many books of psychology as possible. And would say that now I want to study for 1 month, 2 months, say social psychology. That I would read out the whole books of social psychology, prepare my notes, and then that paper is over, the next paper. This way, I read as much as possible and prepared my notes and passed my MA. However, I even did not score first class in those days. But then I don't depend because my reading was so vast that I could talk on any subject even after passing my MA. My result of MA came on June 10, 1954. And then I looked for the job in colleges. I saw a advertisement in newspapers, wanted a lecturer in logic and psychology, Aliyabad, Halar. I did not know where Aliyabad is located. I had never gone beyond Ahmedabad in those days. I got an appointment for interview within 5-6 days. On 17th June, I applied. On 20 June, I got an interview later. And immediately I went on the railway station to inquire where Aliyabad is located. So the railway station master told me, sir, you enter into here Saurashtra Express, get down at Viramgam, there will be another meter gauge train opposite just your this mail train, and look on the board of the train compartment that you should go to Jamnagar or Okha or like that way. And then in the early morning you will get down at Aliyabad. So I went to Aliyabad, just the second year of the college, in the village, not in Jamnagar city. The principal I met, went to his place, Dr. Dullar Rai Makar, very brilliant Sanskrit intelligent Sanskrit man, literary man. He told me, see, we would have given a direct appointment to you, but this is a small village and we did not know whether you would like to come over here or not. Therefore, we have invited you to look and see here whether you want to come down here or not. I said, sir, I am in search of a job. I stayed in a hostel for 6 years. for staying in alone or in this village, no problem for me. Then come down. So on 27 June 1954, I joined Aliabada College. I feel after 1 year my reminiscences that it was a fortunate incident in my life that I got a small college where many of the students were more than my age, because the students were from mostly villages. And I was just a young boy of 21 and a half. Even the students wondered whether I had come as a student or as a teacher. Anyway, I mixed with all the students, teachers and the environment also. But then I thought that being here, I can't spend my life. There's no opportunity. So I was looking for a better college. During the vacation time, I appeared for 2-3 college interviews. But then I was aware about the MTB College Surat at based, because some of the people from our town Umret used to go to Surat MTB College also in those days. So I saw the advertisement for a lecture in logic and psychology and immediately applied. Fortunately, I had my 1 or 2 friends in Surat. So immediately I contacted them. They said, sir, good college. You one day come down here and we can meet the principal. Professor Yashwant Shukla, then later Vice Chancellor of Saurashtra University, principal of College of Ahmedabad, or well bishop. He also introduced me to the principal K. Desai in Surat. And I came down to Surat there for a short visit. Then fortunately there was one very old Vidwan, learned man, Vishnu Vasad Trivedi, very well known Gujarati literary giant man. He happened to be from my town Umret.
Alright.
I met him. He was very happy. He told me, don't worry, the principal is not here today. When he will come, I will talk to him about you. Then I appeared for interview on 21st May in 1954. During all these days, I got married on May 10 in 1954, age of 21 and a half.
Correct.
No other time. No, I had a job. My education was over. Then I appeared for interview at MTB Arts College and immediately got an appointment. On 14th June, I came to Surat because I had to search for a house here. I lived with one of my friends in Surat. He helped me in search for the house, and fortunately, I would say, I got a good location, Narmad in Surat in those days, a Badra people area. And I spent 6 years in Narmad. Now my father was a railway man, station master. His job was on Ratlam division, where there were no colleges and schools. So I got now settled in Surat. I got married, and one my brothers and sisters, all of them one by one every year, they used to come to Surat and study. First year my sister came in matriculation, second year my brother came matriculation, third year my another brother came from matriculation. Meanwhile my son Parikh was born in 56. I was a mere ordinary lecturer, but then my wife she was from a little well-established family. But then she dedicated to our family so sincerely that she forgot her parental life, and from the very first day of our married life, Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay,
It's okay.
it's okay. It's okay.
These are actually the feelings, the
So
contribution.
you can take 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Sports in my life I enjoy. My great sincere thanks to my wife. First thing. Now, after spending 6 years at Narmad residence, I shifted to MTBR's college. Now there is a long history which in 1955 I joined MTB. Within 2 years I was made permanent, looking to my performance. Then in 57 I was made permanent. Then there was an NCC activity running in the college, and there was a scope of expansion of NCC activities. They wanted a male officer to be trained as an NCC military officer. So K.L. Desai principal, very old gentleman, elderly figure, he told me, Parikh, you are a young boy. I would like that you go for NCC training and become NCC officer. I said, sir, good, I like NCC. I wanted to be NCC cadet during college. I could not because of my younger age. And then in 1957, for 3 months, up to November, I was trained as an NCC military officer at Kamti Officer Training School near Nagpur. And I was commissioned as second lieutenant in November 1957. That was one first achievement of my life. Then I thought, I attended the law terms during my MA career at Ahmedabad. But I thought instead of spending my time for reading for law, I should go further in my this career as a lecturer. So I thought, why should you not go for PhD? Then I thought, what topic I shall select for PhD? During my MA reading, in the paper of social psychology, I read a lot about the primitive tribes in culture, written by Margaret Mead, Ruth Benedict, Alexander. And I was so impressed that if at all I have an opportunity to study for PhD, I would select some primitive tribe in Gujarat for my PhD subject as culture and personality. So I thought, where should I go and which area? I learned that there was one Professor Nayak at Nagpur. He had written a book on wheels. I read a book on wheels, another book on wheel on Garasias, but they are all descriptive. I could get an idea. Then I say in Gujarat, Panchmahal, Sabarkantha, and inner part of Surat Valsad district, there are primitive, means Adivasi, tribals.
Correct.
There are real tribals, they are in Dangs. Completely unpolluted. Hardly 5-10 maybe civilized people, all Dangi people. But then how to go down, where, whom to meet? And somebody told me, sir, there is an ashram in Ahwa, Dang. I did not know where is Ahwa and what is Ahwa also. And one Chotubai Nayak has started this ashram, Swaraj ashram, and his whole family is in the service of ashram. I wrote a simple postcard to Chotubai. Okay, sir, I want to visit Ahwa, Dang, and to know whether I have an opportunity to study Dang. Immediately responded. I went to Ahwa, met Chotubai. He said, please come down here. We shall give you all kinds of help. Then from 57 to 62, 5 years, I went thrice to dance. Chotubai moved me at several places. I stayed overall for about 5 months in dance, in deep jungles, where there are no facilities. Chotubai gave me one of his men to accompany me. I used to go and stay in the villages on foot or in forest mandali trucks. And then I studied that inner life enjoyed the festivals, enjoyed the folk songs, enjoyed the talks, and then collected the necessary data. Completed my thesis writing, submitted it, and I got my PhD in 1962 April. So that was my academic. After completing my 5 years of career, or as a lecturer in 54 to 59, I thought there is no opportunity in Surat for psychology. It was not a major subject here. I had to teach only 2 papers of psychology at BA. So I told Principal Kel this, I said, sir, now I will have to leave this MTP college. I said, why? Sir, I don't see any progress in my academic line here in Surat. There is no psychology subject major. He told me, if you decide to stay over here, we can start next year. I said, okay sir, no hurry. I liked psychology principal subject in 1960. At the age of 28, I was made professor, promotion, head of the psychology department and psychology principal. I was the youngest professor teacher in psychology in those days. See how my career advanced within. Then in 1956, Government of Gujarat passed a resolution that in colleges in higher education also now medium of instruction should be regional language. So far English was the medium of instruction, and now from 57 onward, the local publisher, Popular Bookstore, good publisher. Then I started my writing career. First I wrote 2 books on logic. Then there was a new subject introduced at inter-arts in those days, psychology. So wrote book on psychology. And then from 1962, the whole syllabus and the structure of education was changed. Logic was removed from inter-arts. It was introduced in first year, only 1 paper instead of 2. So I wrote a book on logic in one paper. Then from first year, second year, third year, that was the structure of college. Psychology and all other subjects were introduced as principal or subsidiary. So totally from first year, second year, third year, 10 papers of principal subject, 4 papers of minor subject, and rest were compulsory English and 2 other compulsory papers. So a new career for me for writing books. Again, the Popular Bookstore came to me, sir, now you start writing textbook from first year. 2 papers in first year I wrote. Next year 3 papers in second year I wrote. Next year 6 papers in psychology, major. All within 10 years, I wrote about 10 papers. I should say in those days, I was the only first writer in Gujarati textbook.
Right.
Later on people came more and introduced. And however, I had no problem and difficulty in writing books because during my MA, I read a lot and prepared my notes. That notes became a great source of information for me. Even good books were not available in my library, but they were all available in my notebooks. So it was very easy for me to write books. My books were naturally read by all the students in Gujarat in those days. Then later on the other writers came. So from 1956 onward to 1970, the books also got printed edition, went on getting printed and printed. In 1970, government thought that at postgraduate level, still there was the medium of English. But if you want to introduce Gujarati as a medium at postgraduate level, there are the books in postgraduate level. So government started Granth Nirman Board, University Book Production Trust in Ahmedabad. And the trust undertook the responsibility of getting books prepared for postgraduate level. So the government appointed the committees of different subjects. I was one of the members of the committee in psychology in the Granth Nirman Board. In the committee, we met professors of different colleges, and we thought what are the different subjects, different areas on psychology on which books should be written. So we decided, and people selected their own choice. Then there was one paper in psychology. See, psychology is a science,
Correct.
but not like a physical or chemical sciences.
Correct.
It is a social science.
Mhm.
It is science because it follows scientific technology, scientific methodology.
Mhm.
And there are different nature for interpreting human behavior. There are different views, different opinions, different kind of viewpoints.
Correct.
Freud, Adler, Jung,
Karl
Pavlov, so many. So we call it schools of psychology.
Okay.
And vast reading you did, behaviorism, Watson, all these things. Gestalt psychology, Watson psychology. Nobody from the professor of psychology was prepared to write on the schools and systems of psychology.
Mhm.
I said I shall write it. Then I came down to Surat and got all the possible books. Then I started writing. I took 1 year in writing, preparing my first draft. Reading all original books of Watson, then Kohler and Pavlov, and so many others, Freud and all these things, and prepared my book, Manovigyanna Siddhanto and Sampradaya. It has went into 5 editions so far from 1972 to today. And that book made me very well known because no professor could have written this book. And it was my first book. However, there was a Puraskar for that, 15 rupees per page. I got 600 books, pages book. I got 9,000 rupees, great amount at a time, no further than. Then I wrote a book on industrial psychology. Then I wrote a book on social psychology. Then I wrote a book on advanced general psychology. So I written 4 books for Gan Nirman Board. And for postgraduate level, you ask any student of MA psychology, they say, I know Parikh Sahib. Because he has passed MA exams only after reading my books. So this way, my career went on, expanding and increasing.
Correct.
As a professor in psychology, an NCC officer, a writer in books, PhD, now what not?
Correct.
And then I spent 6 years in Surat city. In 1962, my principal K.L. Desai was to retire. And next man, J.T. Parikh, vice principal, was to become the principal in those days.
Correct.
J.T. Parikh was the warden of the hostels, boys and girls hostels of MTB College. So now the question was, who will become the warden of the hostels after J.T. Parikh becoming principal?
Correct.
The principal asked so many senior people to become the warden. They say, sir, this Parikh is a young boy. He can do this job. Ask him. They came to me. Sir, Parikh, तुम्हारे hostel ना warden बना भी है तो. Sir, very glad. I have stayed in the hostel for 6 years. It's not a new and challenging job for me.
Correct.
But more advantage was I could get a quarter in a college campus. So I immediately from 1961 I became the warden of the boys hostel and the girls hostel. From 1961 to 1980, the boys hostel had discontinued because of the different reasons. I was the warden of the boys hostel. But even after becoming the principal of the college, I kept the girls hostel under my supervision.
Correct.
I have looked after 80 girls from this area in hostel for 30 years. The parents would come to my house. Sir, this is my daughter at your place. You place her whatever place you like. You punish her, you can do whatever you want to do with her. See, from my age of, I remember,
Correct.
from age of 28, I was the warden of the girls' hostel.
Oh.
you remember what care I should have to take.
Absolutely.
I always used to visit girls' hostel, evening time 7 o'clock, sit in the front room. I would take my wife with me. We would call girls, the girls would come to me and talk. And then I looked upon all the girls from those days for 30 years, boys for 20 years. So this is my career up to 1970. Then by one of the friend, then I applied. Say, why should now I should become a supervisor of PhD, guiding students for PhD. So in 1972, I got my sanction for becoming a supervising teacher for PhD. Then I started enrolling students for PhD.
Correct.
In my career, I have produced and guided 13 students for PhD and 8 students for MPhil. Then in 1970, one of my friends who was in Ahmedabad, he said, Parikh, why don't you go to different associations, India-wide associations? I said, okay, where should I go? I said, there is one Indian Science Congress Association. It is an umbrella of all sciences, some 20 branches. And it meets every year, January 3 to 7, in very big places because its membership is more than 15,000. And 8 to 10,000 members would always come to visit and attend this Indian Science Congress. So under his instruction, in 1971, I first visited Indian Science Congress at Bangalore in 1971. From 1971 to 2012, some 41 years, I have attended, barring some 5-7, all the Indian Science Congresses,
Great.
every year.
Great.
In the Indian Science Congress, there are 20 sections, psychology and anthropology is one different section. The Congress would work for 5 days. On the first day, there will be a general session. The CM of the state and the PM of the country would come for inauguration.
Great.
That was a tradition from times of Jawaharlal Nehru. So, general session, and then from next day onwards, they would be divided into different sections. Then seminars, discussion, research paper reading, and all these things. In all these 40 years, I visited Indian Science for about 35 years. And you see what chances from Kanyakumari to Chandigarh, Jammu, from Shillong to Ahmedabad, Baroda. I visited all the places, big places. Shillong, Calcutta, Ranchi, Patna, Lucknow, Varanasi, Chandigarh, then Udaipur, Jaipur, Jodhpur, Bhubaneswar, down Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Kanyakumari, Trivandrum, Cochin, Goa, what not?
Correct.
I got an opportunity for visiting the whole of India.
True.
So that added to my academic richness, my knowledge of the country, and I had an opportunity to meet the people from different colleges, from different states. So formerly I was confined to Gujarat state. Now I was confined to the whole of India. And in 2000, I became the president of the general of the psychology section. The conference was at Pune. Now during this Indian Science Congress conferences, naturally I had gained my reputation also, because I also rose from lecturership to professorship, professorship to vice principal in 1970, vice principal to principal in 1983, and from principal to vice chancellor in 1991.
Correct.
So this is how I got an all India experience and associated with all India level associations. I presented my papers every year. So that added to the richness of my academic career.
Absolutely.
Now, naturally I had grown quite senior in 1970s. New colleges were getting started in different areas of Surat district and also elsewhere. I had my own reputation. So people used to come to me, sir, you come to work, I become the principal. Now at the age of 40, I had a chances of becoming principal. Even in the departments of university departments of Baroda and Ahmedabad, there are no professor in department. So the vice chancellor used to tell me, Parikh sahab, you come to our university as head of department, and we can directly appoint you. I thought if I go to Ahmedabad, I thought, no, Surat is quite good place for me. I shall become principal. I am not in a hurry to become the principal. I shall become the principal of this college. But then I thought over the academic and non-financial advantages. One, I have had a quarter in MTBR's college. I had services of so many people, students and even peons at my service. My children, they are all getting educated in Surat schools and Surat colleges.
Correct.
If I had been to some interior college at Vyara or elsewhere, I would have to put my son in hostels. But this is under my supervision, and in this big MTB college campus, they all could move in academic atmosphere, studied in schools and colleges. More important is, in 1966, Sarojinic Education Society is the organizing institution of this MTBR's college. It is very necessary for you to know what is Sarojinic Education Society.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One teacher, a small teacher, Shudilal Jalabai Shah, at the age of 22-23, in 1988, he at that time came to learn the government of Bombay has increased a little increase in the primary school fees. Even those 2 annas or 4 annas was a quite costly amount at those days. See, Chunibai Galabai Shah thought, young man, that I should start a school with a motto, Sastu and Sadhu education, cheap and good education. He started a school in his own house with the help of some 2-3 friends. The school started, went on. Then after some 15 years, he was alone, all his friends had left. He thought, after my death, who will continue this school? So he called the citizens of Surat city, Varisht Nagriko, and told them, see, this is the school, please take over this and you can continue this. So he gave away his school to this Surat Nagrik people, and they thought of starting a society association. After all these processes, Sarojinic Education Society was officially named and started in 1912. TNTV school at Nanpura, Aswagate, is the first old institutions started in 1988, first old institution. MTB college was started in 1980. I joined MTB college in 1954. Now, this MTB college introduced an administrative system quite unique. This was an imitation of Ferguson College of Pune, where there is a system of teachers running the institutions.
Okay.
However, there will be an executive committee of the elected people from the citizens, but the basic administration, primary administration will be done by a team of teachers. They called it volunteers,
Okay.
Swayamsevak. So Sarojinic Society started this volunteer system where teachers were introduced as administrative persons. In those days, the principals of the colleges and some members of the teaching staff were invited to become the members of the society and management. They called it volunteers. So in 1960, at that time, one of our colleague member, Dr. Kunjwari Mehta, he came to me and said, Parikh, You are a very young and dedicated member. I was committed to MTB college because I liked the principal, very fatherly figure. I liked the society's administration, no intervention anyway. Even I did not know who is the chairman of the society in those days. No botheration, no, and we had completely academic freedom. From my experience, I could know that in Ahmedabad there is no such institution where teachers are given complete academic freedom. So Surat society was a completely free field for me for my educational academic advancement. So I thought I want to be a lecturer in my life, professor in my life. And if I want to be a lecturer in my life, this MTB Arts College. And if I decide to remain in MTB Arts College, why not to join society as a volunteer? So I joined society as a volunteer member. The commitment was at least service for 20 years. You can live in between, but then you have to be committed for 20 years. So I got enrolled as a volunteer of the society in 1960. And then being a member of the administrative committee, I was given some responsibilities in administration also. So that way from 1954 to 1972, let me say, I became professor of psychology, department head of psychology, PhD become PhD guide, started writing books. Then I got at my attendance at all India level associations, and I got and started administrative experiences also. And again also from 1970 to 1980, I was examiner, paper setter in almost all the universities of Gujarat, Vadodara, Bhavnagar, Rajkot. Meanwhile, in 1965, Gujarat University was divided into two more, South Gujarat University and Saurashtra University. So from 1965 onwards, South Gujarat University came to existence. Then I became the chairman of the Board of Studies in Psychology in those days, from 1965. And then became the member of different academic committees. Then I did not want to become the principal, that I told you. Then I thought I should now get into only university committees. I don't want to fight elections in university. I want to still concentrate on my academic career. Even the society in 1970 invited me to become the secretary of the society. I said, sir, I'm a young man. I have to still carry along many years for my career. I don't want to join administration right from now. I don't want to spoil my career. So I did not become the secretary of the society. See, we were managing 35 institutions, 35,000 students, a big reputation and big post. But I said, I don't want to become secretary. Still, I have to do a lot of work as an academic man. So, then I became the principal in 1983. After retirement of my principal, Veer Mehta. Then I thought, now I have almost by contribution all the areas of educational world. As a principal, I was an automatically member of the Senate and then different other committees. Then I thought from 1980, okay, now I should go for university elections and university administration. In 1985, I fought the university election as a principal constituency. I got elected. I became the Dean of the Faculty of Arts in the very first year. Then I became the member of the syndicate from 82 to 85, 3 years we set up. Then incidentally, in 1985, when I became the Dean and the syndicate member, Professor Mukundra Trivedi, one of my old friends, he was appointed the Vice Chancellor of South Gujarat University. We were friends from college days. So when he entered as a Vice Chancellor of this university, Naturally, he looked upon me as a first assistant or helpful man. So initially, he always said, Parikh sahab ne पूछो, what we can do in this matter. And fortunately, in the university, of the 500 staff, some 250 would have been my students.
Correct.
So I was not unknown to anybody. Even the university teachers, I had cultivated a friendship with almost all the professors and readers and lecturers. So I was quite well known, well established, having a good reputation as an academic man, as an administrative man in a university area. So for the first 3 years, I was a dean, syndicate member, and then Mukunda again continued for 3 years. Again I got elected as a syndicate member in the university, and I did all my jobs. I was in all types of committees for these 6 years. Then in 1991, Mukunda had finished his 2 terms, and they were in search of the Vice Chancellor. A committee had been appointed. Then some of my friends told me, Parikh sahab, why don't you think become a Vice Chancellor? I said, Vice Chancellor? Yes, you can quite become a Vice Chancellor. I said, I don't want to go any member of the committee and tell him that, oh, please consider my name. If you wish, however, you can send my biodata to them. So some of my well-wishers, they sent my biodata to these friends. However, people knew me, committee people knew me, but I didn't approach anybody personally. And then the committee declared the 3 names. It's a committee declares 3 names. Then the government selected one out of it. On May 18, 1991, the names are declared. And on May 21, 1991, Rajiv Gandhi was killed in that incident. So the declaration of the Vice Chancellor was postponed. Somehow Chimanbhai Patel, the CM at that time, I don't know why, he went on postponing the declaration of the name. But I got from naturally my friendly sources that one name, he was a professor of IIM at Ahmedabad, he does not want to become the Vice Chancellor. There was another name from the professor of Southern University. People told me and they thought he doesn't deserve to be a Vice Chancellor. So you are the only person remaining. Let us go and talk to some minister. I said, I don't want to go any minister. If they want to appoint me, appoint me. I am already the principal of the college. But then some fine day, August 8 evening, the news came on the radio.
Okay.
At that time, I was taking a lecture as a visiting lecturer in MBA classes at the university. My son got a phone from the press that Parikh sahib's name has been declared as Vice Chancellor. He gave me a phone and came to receive me. I came home. Some of the friends who had known this came here to congratulate me. It was 8th August, Thursday. And then I thought I shall take the charge of Vice Chancellor from Monday. Friday and Saturday will be day for my preparation and handing over my formal resignation letter to the society and get that sanction also. Principal Kunjari Mehta, my predecessor, my good well-wisher, was very glad. He was the secretary of the society. He said, Parikh sahib, don't worry, all the formalities will be completely very well within a day or so, don't bother. You take your charge from Monday. It was 12th August. So from 12th August, sir, I can't imagine, my whole drawing room was full of flowers and flowers everywhere. Such an honor in past, no Vice Chancellor had received for his appointment.
Great.
And the whole my MTV college, with all band and baja, cars and scooters. And they came to just give me a send-off in the university.
Correct.
I took my chair and in my first meeting after all this reception program, all the friends in the syndicate, my old friends,
Correct.
I told them, see, up to yesterday, I was sitting along with you in all chair along with you. But now today I am sitting in the opposite chair. The only difference is that. Otherwise we all are the same committee.
Correct.
And I would have my policy that whatever we decide here, we decide either unanimously.
Correct.
If we can't decide unanimously, it will be a majority vote.
Correct.
Even if I disagree with it, I will get committed to it. But majority. So, in the earlier two syndicates, there were very bitter experiences, bitter relations between the syndicate members, some two syndicate members, and the Vice Chancellor. I was a personal witness, and all the time I had to intervene in all this struggle between the syndicate member and the Vice Chancellor, being a little senior man.
Correct.
So I told them, please forget whatever has been done in the past. And we all will work as a unit. It is all benefit for the university and for the education.
Correct.
Nobody have any personal axe to grind. And fortunately, I should say, the syndicate members of our Dakshin Gujarat University syndicate, they are all honest people,
Correct.
all committed to education. They are from different areas of life, but nobody has to personal axe to grind. Nothing, no personal benefit, anything. However, they would think if somebody approaches them to get some work done, they would use their influence with Vice Chancellor.
Correct.
Sir, aatlu kaam kari apone. If it possible, it could done.
Correct.
So this is how I addressed the syndicate for the first time. And then all my people, I told them, see, up to yesterday, you are not regular in this university. Please, from tomorrow onward, your Vice Chancellor will come here at 10:30. And I hope no serviceman can afford or can think of coming later than Vice Chancellor, so come in time. I will leave this university at exactly 6 o'clock in the watch. Nobody can think of leaving the office earlier. This is how I want. If anybody has some urgent or some very important job, you can take the permission of the registrar. But no. Up to last year, you have enjoyed whatever way you wanted to work, but now no work. I will be here first and the last to go. That is how I established my discipline. And then I called a meeting of the teachers of the university. I told them, please, now it is our job to take the university to the higher academic levels. Whatever deficiency, we can try to manage to solve them. Then the press people, especially the Indian Express, came to take interview as the Vice Chancellor. Now, I had my experience as an administration and syndicate member of last 6 years. I am very sorry, little painful to say, that the earlier Vice Chancellor, Mukunda Trivedi, had dumped the university in a big, what to say, hole. Financially, the university was bankrupt. 2 crores of deficiency. There was no discipline among the staff. Because of agitations in previous years, the academic timetable, starting the term, finishing the term, was completely disturbed. Generally in June 15, the academic year starts. It could not start up to August. Examinations generally would start in March, last week of March. Could not start even up to the end of April. So naturally everything went on postponing. So the press people told me, what are your objectives and aims of this? Sir, I do not want to make any boastful claims. My first will be 3 jobs. Bringing out this university out of this financial losses. Secondly, establish the regularity of this academic term. Thirdly, to conduct examinations in time and declare the results in time. However, this is not a one-day job. It will take me. But during my first 3 years of my term, I would try to regularize all this. I do not know whatever academic higher I can go, but this is basic necessities.
Correct.
Then I called the meeting of all the people. Then I went to naturally there was a goodwill visit to the education minister. Narhari Amin was the education minister, young man. I went to his place. He was staying at Narayanpura in Ahmedabad. I told Narhari Bhai, this is how I style. You are a young man. If you had been in Surat, you would have been a student. Told very plainly. But somehow you are a political man, you are a minister of education, so you are formally on a higher level.
Correct.
And you may tell the Vice Chancellor to do some job here and there. Okay. It's a formal relation.
Correct.
But please, don't tell me anything is out of the university law. I won't be able to do anything about it. He was so noble and so gentle. His reputation elsewhere was quite different.
Correct.
But with me, I told him very plainly, okay, Parikh sir, don't worry. I will not tell you anything about out of law, even within the law. I will not tell you anything. And he kept his promise during first year. He never instructed me, Parikh sir, aam karo, tyam karo, nothing. I used to go visit occasionally Gandhinagar. Naturally, I would peep into his office. If he's not there, I would come back and told his PA, Narhari Bhai ne keh diyo ki Parikh sir aa gaya tha. If he has any job, he can talk to me. Sure, I will be there tomorrow morning.
Correct.
These were the relations.
True.
And then during 3 years, I did my best. Financial loss somehow by increasing. You see, no Vice Chancellor would have dared. Professor Principal Desai of the Gujarat University told me, sir, Parikh sahab, તમે તો કેટલું કામ કર્યું. અમે તો 5 રૂપિયા પણ વધારવાની હિંમત નહીં કરીએ. And I increased fees of different types, examination, admission, and so many. During 3 years, 6 times. Gradually, 10%, 5%, 10%. And I tried to make all departments self-dependent. But then there are losses, 2 crores. How to meet them? These losses were because of the negligence or misadministration of the previous Vice Chancellors. What kind of? See, government, when started in Gandhinagar, after Ahmedabad office, they started giving transport allowances to their karmacharis from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. So all university karmacharis, other places, they said, sir, we are also going from our place to university outside town. Give us vehicle allowance. So university started giving vehicle allowance. The same also happened in Lakshmingala University. Now the quarters are built in the campus. So quite a lot of karmacharis had come to stay in the campus. So they have not to come from cities. So they are not entitled for vehicle allowances. But then nobody would like to give up any financial advantage. So the leader of the karmachari went to the Vice Chancellor, Upendra Bakshi was at that time. Sir, this is the place quite away from the city. We have to go 2 kilometers even for the purchase of a matchbox. So please continue our vehicle allowance. The liberal man, Dr. Upendra Bakshi, okay, granted. So he granted the vehicle allowance even to the residents of the colony. Then some teachers started, sir, we are also coming from outside. All right, you also get vehicle allowance. So this vehicle allowance was not allowed as grant purposes. So naturally university has to spend money from its own personal sources.
Correct.
And that will be a loss. Somehow these allowances, then Professor Shastri, who had been a Vice Chancellor in this university for about a year only. In those days, he started another allowance, 10% allowance to university examination staff. Now, such a very nonsense kind of allowance, because there is an examination department in the university and it is the job of the examination department to do examination work.
Correct.
Or Shastri start allowance. Of course, nobody would deny such an allowance. But then people, other clerks would grumble. Sir, he is in exam department. He get 10% more salary. And we are deprived of it. Put us also in exam department. So Vice Chancellor was so noble. He did not give him from his pocket. He said other also will get 10% allowance. Then government would disallow. So these allowances, which were completely non-grantable,
Correct.
went on increasing from bank loans. And bank loans are not in free, they are interest also.
Absolutely.
So, non-grantable allowances, then this interest on the government loan, bank loan. Then Mukund Rai in his time had enrolled some 58 candidates, Karmacharis. But unfortunately, he had not taken the government sanction of these 58 people. So government said, we have not sanctioned their appointments, we won't give their salary.
Correct.
So the salary of 58 people, not granted. So you can understand, every month a loss of 4 to 6 lakhs rupees. And you continue. Within 2 years it came to more than 2 crore rupees. So I had to mountainous task to discontinue the benefits.
Correct.
People would hit me and drive me out.
Absolutely.
So I had to work very skillfully. In the first term of 3 years, I looked after only examination and academic regularity. I could manage about 80-90% examination work, paper setting and all. I called the people of everybody. Even I called the citizens of Surat, please help us. Don't talk nonsense and say about university. Your children are studying here. And I am trying my best to manage and regularize university. I called students union also. Remember, in earlier years, students used to come and throw stones and break glasses. During my 6 years, not a single stone has been thrown on university campus.
Correct.
When the students come to university in a big 1,000, I would go and face them. I would stand on my corridor and before the crowd and tell them, yes, please go home and ask your parents, mother and father. They are my students. So I am your grandfather.
Correct.
Not only in this way, but I am also a dada. Dado, I am dado.
Correct.
So please tell me whatever you want to have. I can't tolerate and will not tolerate any kind of disturbances.
Correct.
So they all obeyed me. They all knew me.
Correct.
My temperament, my NCC discipline, everything. I used to call 5-4 students and tell them, give me a list of your demands. Say out of the 50 demands, 40 are quite useless. Throw them out. Some 4-5, they can be looked into. Some 3-4, quite reasonable. I will try to implement immediately. Now nothing more than this. If you ask anything, please get out from my office. They will go. So within 6 years, I have managed like this. And during 3 years, I could regularize everything. Financially, examination, and these terms. At the end of 3 years, naturally, my 3 term was over. Second committee was appointed. Before that, during this period of committee and appointment, I went to Narmad. So, I have to tell you one thing. So, you see, my term is now getting over. I am eligible, age-wise, I am eligible for the second term. If you think I deserve it, tell me. If you do not think, tell me also, because I am happy. I am already Vice Chancellor. But then if you tell me in time, I have my bungalow in Surgeon Society, which is to be vacated and made it little desirable for my residents.
Okay.
Parikh sir, we are very happy about your job here. I want that you should continue. Okay, sir, then I won't tell anybody. I won't go to anybody. It is now your responsibility to see that I get the second term. Job was over. Then in the committee of the team of 3 persons, my name was there. And my term was to be over in August 11, last day, 1965, 1964. But then, my name as a Vice Chancellor for the second term was declared in June, some 3 months before.
Correct.
My term was to be over in August.
August.
So before 3 years, 3
3
months,
months.
my name was declared. So I continued for the second term. And then I got a courage now, whatever I can want to do.
Mhm.
In the second term in 1965, June, August, in September 1964, I called a meeting of all the associations and told them now the problems of university before them. And I wanted their help to now come out of all these problems. Then in 1990, end of the 1994, the political party government changed.
Correct.
From Congress, it came to Bhajap.
Mhm.
Now, Bhajap, you know all the mentality of the Bhajap government. The Bhajap government wants to see that all the heads of the offices in any town, city, it should be from the Bhajap people. They could remove DSP, they could remove the collector, they wanted to remove the Vice Chancellor. But somebody told me that Vice Chancellor is not appointed by the government. It is appointed by a special law, university law. So they can't touch the Vice Chancellor. I was not openly opposed, but my political thinking was like that. I was not a Bhajap man. So naturally the minister in that time, Nalin Bhai, he was from Baroda. I did not know him personally, but he was unhappy. However, in 1995 September, I invited a Vice Chancellor's conference in Surat of Western Zone, Rajasthan, Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. About some 55 universities. I held a conference of 3 days here. Usually Governor, Suresh Chandra was the governor in those days. Nalin Bhai was the minister. Hemant Chapatwala, one of my students, was another minister. Then one Parsi woman was the UGC chairman. They all came here. And I managed the conference. Then Nalin Bhai was in the government guest house in those days, and the journalist went them to them. Then in the talk with the journalist, he expressed that I am not happy with this Vice Chancellor. Then he told him. So next day it came the newspaper. Nalin Bhai is not happy with the Vice Chancellor. I said, I don't bother about his happiness or unhappiness with me. I will do my job. Then that was over. Then one minister from Jammu side, he gave a ring to my registrar. You see, a classroom batch of SY.BCom students in Jammu College have been detained for examination. There irregularities. The results have been detained. Declare the results and promote them to 3rd BCom class. The registrar said, sir, this is not that way. We can't do this. Send me the answer books. We can't send the answer book to you. If you want to see, come over here. Then Nalin Bhai, his secretary was one Sharma. This Sharma gave a ring to me. Parikh Sahib, pela જંબુસરના એસવાબીકોણ વિદ્યાર્થીઓને તમે પરિણામ જાહેર કરી દો, ચડાવી દો. શર્માજી, are you a secretary or a postman? I told him like that. It is your job. You are a permanent man. Minister is just go and come office. You should advise them what you should done, what should not be done. How can I just declare some 40 students pass? Then what about the rest 44, 50?
Correct.
I have to also declare them pass. This can't be done. There is a regular committee of Parikh Achar Samiti, we call it, and they will look into the cases. I didn't obey his orders. Then one member of the syndicate, Dr. Akin Desai, for somehow reasons, was under criminal case. He was suspended from the government medical college, Surat. He was our member of the syndicate. So Nalin Bhai gave another order. Remove this Akin Desai, he was a congressman. Remove Akin Desai from the syndicate. Sir, he has not been appointed by me. He has been elected as a syndicate member of the medical teachers constituency. Secondly, he is your servant, government college. Why don't you dismiss him and ask me to suspend him from the syndicate? I can't do this job. I did not do it. Then he tried to harass me in different ways. Then one day after that conference, I went to Gandhinagar.
Correct.
That because the Sharmaji had given me telephone, okay, sir, minister wants to see you. So I should go, minister wants to see you. I went to see him, went to his office. Moko, Sharmaji, what do you want? Where is your minister? I am here now. Sir, he does not want to see you. I said, why have you invited me? Sir, may I advise you? Yes, you can advise me. I would say, you resign as a vice chancellor. I said, why? You can give it result that the government doesn't cooperate with you and resign. I said, no, why should I? Even if I resign, I will first have a talk with your minister and then I would resign, otherwise not. Give this my message to your minister. I came back. Then from different sources, my principal, some other people, they were sent me to give messages. You give up, you give. I said, I don't want to give. I would like to see first this man, minister. Then one of my friends advised me. He said, it was a harassment.
Correct.
Because all the time I had
Absolutely.
to. And I told my friends, I don't want anybody to create an agitation out of this. If you stand by me, I will be okay. I will get the stand for me. I will fight this battle my own way. I don't want a public agitation. Students used to keep my karmacharis, whose allowances I had stopped and discontinued. I will talk that later on. They had also come to me. Okay, sir, whatever problem between us, but this is wrong thing.
Correct.
We are with you. We can go on strike. No, thank you for your cooperation and sympathy, but I will fight my own battle. Then one of my friends advised me, write this letter to CM. So I drafted 10 pages later, completely detailing everything to the CM. It went. Then after 3-4 months, again I sent another letter with more details to the CM. So in 1996, this all happened during one year. In 1996, March, there was a message from the CM's office. Suresh Bhai Mehta was the CM. He told me, sir, CM wants to see you. Because regarding what? Regarding your letters. So along with one of my syndicate member, I went to see the CM. It was in Gujarat, the Vidhan Sabha was meeting. So I went after 5 o'clock, where Vidhan Sabha was over. I went to the Vidhan Sabha house, met him. He took me in one room and we sat there. He's a very Nalin Bhai. He personally went and called Nalin Bhai. He was moving here and there. He made him chat. Then I told my brother, sir, I am a vice chancellor from last 15 months. Nalin Bhai is a minister from last 10 months.
Correct.
I am the senior most vice chancellor in this university. He should have taken my advice, my help in managing the university. On the contrary, he disturbs me, he harasses me, and wants to remove me. He even doesn't talk with me. What is the problem? I told him, we are all friends, but the same language.
Correct.
Then Suresh was very gentleman. After all these things, then I told him also, okay, sir, Nalin Bhai wanted me to remove this Hakim Desai. Now, incidentally, Hakim was reinstated on the very day.
Okay.
I said, sir, you wanted me to dismiss this man from syndicate and your government has reappointed him. You would have made me a fool. If I had dismissed him, I would have been a fool. I told him before all this thing. Yes. Then I told him, sir, I know what is paining this Nalin Bhai. In our syndicate committee, there is one person, Mirza. He is a Congress president. But in our syndicate, there is no politics. Hosang Mirza is a syndicate member as a representative of the science graduates, faculty, constituency, not as any political. There are political appointments from your political persons in the syndicate. But they are also with me. They are all four with me. And sir, the Nalin Bhai is just has little problem with Hosam, but that is not my problem. Sir, within next year, there is an election coming, Senate. You appoint your persons and get them elected. I don't have any objection.
Correct.
Told them. Then Surya Bhai advised Nalin Bhai, you hold a meeting with the Vice Chancellor, and the meeting was over. Then I came immediately. It was March last week. Then I told Sharmaji, Sharmaji, what is the message from your Sahib? Came શું છે? I came before 2 days, met him before the CM, Suresh Bhai. Sir, I don't know anything. I said, what is this? The secretary of the department does not know what the ministry is doing. Anyway, he has promised me to see me when he is calling me. He never called me.
Okay.
Then, before I go further, I would say, after my first term, I got appointed second term, August 94. Then, after the Vice Chancellor's conference, I got little courage. Then I told my syndicate member, see, what I could not do in the first term, I want to do in the second term.
Correct. I
want to discontinue all these illegal, ungrantable allowances. And everybody, all the members of the syndicate should be unanimous on this issue. If anybody has a problem or disagrees, please don't attend this meeting. Resolution should be unanimous.
Correct.
In your absence it may be. But then see, one university employee, leader, Hasmukh Patel, elected from other constituency, but was member of the syndicate. I told Hasmukh Bhai, so you are a university employee. Naturally, you would not like the allowances to be discontinued. So if you don't agree, keep away. Don't remain absent. He remained absent. He remained present and agreed unanimously discontinuing these illegal, ungrantable allowances. Naturally, the Karmacharis would go on strike. They went on strike. They made some shows and all these different kind of activities and tofan before my bungalows also. I used to come to University office under protection also because government put some to the police people at my place also. Driver, nobody would come. I had to go to Bhajanagar, so I asked the corporation commissioner, he sent me a driver. Okay. But after about a week, see, students are my students. The Karmacharis are my students. So, Sahib, we don't like to make such kind of strike. But what can we do? Sahib, do one thing. You continue this our allowances, but then tell the government to send a committee. And whatever report will be, we shall accept it.
Correct.
I say this report will be same, but somehow let us make a compromise. So the strike was over. I immediately informed the government. The committee came within 1 year. The committee came, and again in next before Diwali, they gave a report. Now the report was same, so I called the president of the union, employees union. See, the man had a notorious career, but you see, but from the very first day he became the president of the union, I told him, see, you are president, but don't make any kind of meeting. Okay, sir, મારા વિશે જે કોઈ whatever impressions and opinions you may collect or complaints you have, you give me memos.
Correct.
Don't bother about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will, sir, be even disciplined. He was little, naturally being president. I called him. See, order has come. There are 20 days, 10th to 1st of November. You are 20 days before you go to the court, bring the stay order. Otherwise, this decision will be continued from 1st of November, next month. All illegal allowances discontinued.
Correct.
मैंने कहा साहब एक महीना गुजार में no one more. The 20 days are okay. And then I told him, if you go on strike again,
Mm-hmm.
I will close the university. You need not go on strike. Last time, we continued electricity and water supply. But this time, I will discontinue this also.
लोक सभाना
Yes.
I will put
Done.
Okay. One second.
My losses were discontinued, the deficient discontinued, and this committee regularized the 58 posts.
Okay.
But against whatever vacancies were there were not to be filled.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so financial problems, July 1996 to September 1996. And I should say, in San Francisco, in New York, in Edison, at New Jersey, everywhere I found my students.
Right.
They all looked after my residence, my expenses, my visit to different places. I had not to spend a single dollar there. See, these are my old students. They held meeting nothing. So my America visit was over, and then everything was now problems were over. The system was quite regularized. So these are Avendo, now 1996, then 1997, August I was to retire, and during last these years, all the regular thing over. We were happy, people were happy, my staff was happy. I retired, my last day was 11th August 1997. The all syndicate members, departmental heads, and naturally all the employees, they waited for my departure from the university, and they gave me a very warm departure from university. I said, whatever work I did within 36 years in the college,
Correct.
from 95 to 91, I did more work than that during these 6 years.
Okay.
And whatever I did, so no financial commitment, even whatever financial there, I appointed a finance committee.
Correct.
I say whatever the committee do, it should do it. I will not handle anything personally.
Correct.
I don't want to do that. So even in any administrative matters, I would take advice or keep 2-3 members to this me. Finances, I never touched it also. Examinations, there are so many copying cases. So I used to go to visit centers personally with 2-3 professors in different colleges, Valsad, Navsari, Jammu, Sir, Rajput, everywhere. And I try to control the examination this thing. Then there are so many other issues also. Anyway, yeah, okay. So that is how I regularize everything, examination, academic term and finances. In the last days, people used to invite me, sir, come, we want to give you send-off. I said, I don't want to spend days on send-off. From 1st August to 11th August, I can spare days for that. So whatever possible, Rajpipla, Bharuch, Jammusar, Navsari, Valsad, I went on. To some colleges I went even after my 12th August, sir, તમે આવો પછી. So that is how, and the Karmachari Pramukh, he came to me, sir, we want to give you send-off. I said, you are a fool. I discontinue your 10% wages, a loss of 200 to 2000 to every. See, this my peon also will be just rebuking me, finding fault with me, because I have discontinued salary. Because, sir, you nothing. People know it. And they say they want to give you send-off.
So
I say, okay,
honesty.
welcome. And a very warm departure. The Pramukh himself said કે પરીખ સાહેબે જે કંઈ કર્યું તે એમના પોતાના માટે તો કર્યું જ નથી, not for himself.
Correct.
He has done it for the welfare of the university.
Correct.
And therefore he is right, he was right, we were wrong in getting all these allowances. After meeting was over, the press people came to me, sir, you are retiring, what is your most memorable day? I said, today is the most memorable day. The employees whom I have given most disadvantage, most losses, they are honoring me today. What more you want than this? Okay. On 12th August, 11th August evening, I left university. Now, about the Satyashodak Sabha. See, I studied sciences, psychology, I studied philosophy, Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz, Locke, they are philosophers. In Indian philosophy, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, all this. So these are imbibed a kind of scientific temperament in me. And I taught and written on logic, which is itself a scientific method. I had taught scientific method to my psychology and MBA students. I am a non-religious man, without any commitment. So people knew my temperament. I had never gone to the temple. I had never gone to any guru. I have visited Varanasi and so many places, but then we should visit. I have gone to Rameshwar also. We have visit, only for a visit. Seen the idols and everything. But in 1980, some July, August, there was an announcement in Surat that there is a yagna to be held at 80 lakh rupees for a renovation of some temple, Rungnath Mahadev in Surat. Our MTBR college is a little more enlightened. Teachers are more academic. We always discuss academic issues. So in common room, I talked with the people in 1980. I was the vice principal. Our principal Kunjal Mehta also agreed with me. Parikh sir, we should let us call a meeting of the citizens of Surat against this yagna. So we called a town meeting, Surat Town in Anniversary Hall, Surat. Govindas Chokhawala, a congressman, very liberal man, was the president. And we talked about the unnecessity and all this thing about the Karma Kand and Yagna. However, the Yagna did continue, but then at a very less expense. Some, not 80 lakhs, some 2 or 4 lakhs. But somehow we saw that the people were interested in the social reforms. They called a large meeting. So one of my friends, my student also, a lecturer in our sister college, KP College of Commerce, Bahubhai Desai, he was also agitating in his own way. He came to me, Parikh sahib, તમે પણ આવું માનો તો yes. તો સાહેબ આપણે હવે this is the city of Narmad, social reform. And there is a temperament now Surat city. Why not to channelize temperament in social reform? I said, okay. We went to Govindas Chokhawala. He said, sir, we want to start some association. Okay, good man. Not very much irreligious like us, but understood what right and wrong. So we started Satyashodhak Sabha. President Kotida Chokhawala. Myself and Mahabhai Desai, secretaries. However, and the committee members of the committee, all the citizens who were like-minded. Nobody was entirely religious man.
Correct.
So, but that's how we started an association. We got it registered in 1984 officially
Correct.
to make it a public institution. But then we have to continue it. So Babu Bhai and myself, we started all these activities. I was man of psychology. I did not believe in parapsychology and chamatkar, miracles, all these things. So and naturally my reputation, so many associations in Surat, they wanted to invite me. So we went there, gave a long lecture, they all question answers. So an air of social reform. Our aims of Satyashodha was removal of superstition, blind faith from the society.
Correct.
To expose the Babas and Matajis who pose like these divine people, and to expose them. To let us say propagate the idea of scientific attitude, prepare a literature for this promotion and publish it. These were the basic aims. So first book written, I gave a lecture completely on this thing. Babu Bhai told me, Parikh sir, I am not going to lecture, but I chopdi chapi that. So first book was written, Vignan and Alaukik Ghatanaon, Science and Supernatural Events. Some 50-60 page booklet, sold for 1 rupee, 3 months, 1 edition over, second edition 2 rupees, 5 months over, third edition, and then I go on increasing also, expanding and improving. So that way we have got invitations. Now our reputation also started.
Correct.
It went to Bombay and all the places. In Bombay there is Chamatkar Prakashani Kendra. Those people came to me. They taught us.
Correct.
Sir, what is Chamatkar? Kanku kaadvo, જીભમાંથી સળિયો કાઢવો, આંખ નીચેને કાગળ વાંચી જવો, અગ્નિ હાથમાંથી સિક્કો ગરમ કરવો, વગેરે વગેરે, આગ ઉપર ચાલવું. How these can be played? So we some 2, 3, 4 of our associates, we got them trained and educated in this chamatkar. So along with our lectures, we made these public performances. And sir, during this 1982, 1996, during this 12 years, we have moved on almost in all corners of Surat district and beyond that in different towns. Then in 1984, we started a magazine. First it was named Prabodh, now it is named Satyanveshan, a rationalist magazine. So in now gradually Sri Chokhawala died in 1988. So I became the president of the Satyashodhak Sabha. Our activities continued.
Correct.
Where is the office? My home was our office.
All right.
My principal office was our office.
Okay.
Because we did not require any building to
Absolutely.
And then during my vice chancellorship, naturally I could not spend much more time. So Babu Bhai took more participation. But then we continued activity. Even out of my job as a vice chancellor, I used to go to such programs and also write criticizing letters also. Some people did not like it. But I said this is also an educational job.
Absolutely.
So I retired in 1997 and then our continued Suryakant Bhai joined us in 1994-95. He was a teacher in the KP College of Commerce along with Babu Bhai. So under his influence he came to Satyashodhak Sabha. And then from that day onwards, we made our activities more courageous, more expanding, and up to today, 2021, our association is still. I left my presidentship in 2010 and made how was the president. But still, as an elderly man and patron, I am active in this thing. Now, during my career as a teacher, I wrote about some 30 books on psychology, different areas. After retirement, I thought, no, I am quite a retired and old man in psychology. There are other teachers, they will write now. Now, after retirement, I started writing on rationalism, science, scientific attitude, all these things.
Correct.
From 1997 to the 2020, I wrote about 20 books or booklets on different areas. Vignan Itihas, science of science, history of science, Vignan Alokik Ghatnao, what is soul, Punarjanma and Karmano Siddha, all Gujarati. What is spiritualism, what is this Daksalism, then what is Jyotish, a humbug, what is Vastu, the Darwin's theory of evolution. All things, some 20 books. Mantra, Tantra, Japa, what is Prarthana, Puja, what is Bhoot, Pret, the diseases are mental as well, physical as well, disease, mental disease. So things. My knowledge of philosophy, knowledge of psychology, knowledge of social sciences, all came to my help. And I wrote this. So this is my career in time. And one principle I followed in my life. Never, at whatever step in your life you are there, make it more solid. Be faithful and honest to your job at that level. Next step will automatically come for you. Some people advise me, sir, aam karo, tem karo. I said, no. I am happy with Sargini Society. I am happy with MTBR College. I am happy with whatever job I do. I don't want to aspire because principal is okay. Professor is okay. But there is much more work to be done in this and I have done it.
Correct.
And I have always considered, because see, you can see the progress in my life at different stages.
Absolutely.
Continuous growth, which I have imbibed very sincerely.
Correct.
With principles, honesty, integrity, nothing going outside, and always follow the policy, even at the cost of some problem also. But then people realize, my enemies or people who don't agree with me, they all say, the Parikh sir is right. I tell you one incident, very important. When I was a Vice Chancellor in 1994, there was a great copying case at Navi Arts College.
Okay.
I don't know, somehow the whole class was copying. And my professor I sent him, they reported me. I told the principal of the college, when the exam is over, declared that this exam is cancelled. There will be another examination after 2 days. It's a very bold step because it discontinued, and not only this college, not other colleges.
Correct.
So the next day the chief general secretary came and said, why us? We don't give examination. You all will be declared fail.
Correct.
They did not give examination. They have declared fail. Out of 660 students, 600 passed only.
Correct.
And naturally the local newspaper took the notice of this bold step. The local newspaper wrote an editorial when I was appointed Vice Chancellor, first term, wrote when I was reappointed, wrote a note in the editorial when this exam problem was conducted, and again when I retired. That is how the newspaper appreciated all these things. And then all these things, I always saw that the things are regularized under the rule, and I never compromised with anything. And even after retirement, I thought all this. Then I thought, what shall I do in retirement? So this Satyashobha job was with me. I have been administratively I have given up my responsibility, but still I am active with it. I have my own computer.
Correct.
I always spend 3 hours here in the morning, write it, work on it, read it, and then TV is there. Night time is TV with me. People sometimes, my members sometimes agree with me. હું આખો દાડો ટીવી સામે બેઠા કરું. Because then what shall I do? If I don't do anything, I will not survive.
Correct.
And how active I am there. People say, oh, you are active. Sir, I am active. And I had my bypass surgery in 2015.
Okay.
But no trouble, health trouble.
Correct.
I have diabetes.
Great.
I have some thyroid trouble.
Mhm.
Regular medicine.
Mhm.
My son is an orthopedic surgeon,
Mhm.
but he takes great care, medical care of our family.
Mhm.
And I am regular in my habits also.
Correct.
Food is moderate, living habits are moderate.
Mhm.
I don't know from which year of my life I started evening walk or morning walk.
Mhm.
Today, at 5:30 I get up, 6 o'clock I get out of my house. Now I walk in my surgeon garden, big garden, society garden. 30 minutes walk in the garden, it comes about 2 kilometers, and then come back.
Correct.
So this walk, never any excuse,
Mhm.
unless I am outside Surat.
Mhm.
But out of 365 days, maybe some 5 days I may not go for a walk. People say, road jao. Yes, that is how my day starts.
Correct.
And my day starts at 10, end at 10 o'clock, 10:30, with the last serial on the TV.
That's it.
And I'm happy with, I keep fit mentally and physically.
Correct.
I just finished 88 years
Okay.
and I entered,
89.
89 years I finished and entered 90th year.
All right.
Of unfortunate incidences, my father he died in 72, 73. He is a Vice Chancellor. My 3 sons, well behaved, very obedient. They would never speak a word against me, even if they disagree with me. But then I would see that whatever I spoke today, they don't like, I would repeat it. So after all, I understand my children. And they all, even my son of 65 years, I call him immediately, come down. No, he is young brother, he is retired from the bank job.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he has a kidney problem.
Mhm.
He used to be under dialysis twice a week.
Mhm.
I used to go, he is the divorced man. I used to go with him in the hospital.
Mhm.
But now, after COVID, they have stopped me. He goes alone, he has his job. I hope he lives better, healthy job,
Yes.
because how long I shall survive.
You have to live for a long life.
One unfortunate, which always makes me emotional. Jesus, they would whatever task, his name was Parikh, काम करो. Sir, it will be done. Don't bother. You will get any job will be done. So when he expired because of the blood cancer, within 15 days, all of a sudden, March 1st, 2018, it was diagnosed by blood test. March 18, he expired. So this loss is
Sorry.
a great morass. We have declared ourselves in the Constitution as a republic, democratic, secular, working for science, equality, social justice, no discrimination. These are the basic values of our Constitution. I don't know, I don't understand how these values are maintained today. Among all countries of the world, see, once I gave a lecture on religion and state.
Correct.
I said, Muslim countries, most of them are religious. Hardly like Indonesia or Malaysia maybe, not irreligious, but they give respect to all religions. Even England and America, they say Christian countries.
Mhm.
In policy, they are equal, secular. But as a state, they are religious. Only Switzerland is completely irreligious, declared. France also like that. Our India, we have, in our constitution, we have declared non-secular or secular. But in practice, they are not secular.
Mhm.
Today, this Bhajap government is bringing Ram Janmabhoomi, Ram Mandir as a motto and goal of the government and the people. I always talk in my lectures. Ramayana and Mahabharata, they're all imaginary, legendary tales. I have written articles on them. I say, where is Lanka of Ram? We call it Sri Lanka is Rama. Sir, I have visited Ayodhya. I have visited Chitrakoot. I have visited Rameshwar. I have visited Nasik. I have visited Sri Lanka also. Wherever I have gone, where are the Ram places? In Sri Lanka, from place to Colombo, there is a place Nuvera area.
Okay.
Nuvera area, it happened to be the Ashok Vatika place. The hotel people said, sir, there is a near Ashok Vatika. I said, let us go there. Ram temple, Sita temple. I asked the Pujari, where is Ashok Vatika? Ashok, sir, this is the Ashok Gurus here, a small chotra. I said, where is that garden which was burned by Hanuman? Oh, sir, over here is all black land. Where the Ravan was staying, sir, over that hill. I said, he used to come here flying from Guru. So, Sri Lanka is maintaining this legend because people used to visit it. So, I wrote an article also. Say, these are all the places I have visited. But Sri Lanka of today is not the Sri Lanka of Ramayana. Because science, Sanskrit scholars and one archaeologist, Hasmukh Nakadia, they have travelled from Ayodhya to the way described by Valmiki. All the different science, because Valmiki may be good at geography. So he is all there. But last step, Hanumanji made a jump and fell into Sri Lanka. So what was the last place? Where Hanumanji saw a big water storage before him. They call it Samudra. The scholars say it is a place Amarkantak.
Okay.
Amarkantak is the starting point of Narmada.
Correct.
So Hanumanji was on the peak of Amarkantak. He saw a vast storage of water and he jumped. He fell somewhere near Jabalpur. And Jabalpur area is a saucer area. Since monsoon, it is full of water like saucer. So it is like a sea.
Correct.
And the Surpankhas brothers, they came in a rath drawn by donkeys. So how can they come? A donkey can walk a sea. So it is this area where 2-3 feet water, so they can walk over. So if at all it is geographically described, the Sri Lanka is somewhere near Jabalpur. And they call it a village, Lank they call it village. This is how we deal with it. So I propagated that.
Correct.
Even I am thinking to write a Mahabharata also. Article, I prepared my data also. But that is how I talk to the people.
Correct.
Message to youth.
मैं तो लंबा लिखो be secular. Religion you can follow in your own house. Never go to say respect people.
Absolutely.
Respect people, but don't become a servant-like attitude towards them. And I ask parents also in our meeting, whatever you are, your religious beliefs, very difficult to change.
Correct.
Because these are all complexes, all very much, very deep in your mind, very difficult to change. But my one request, you do whatever you like. Don't teach your children to follow your practices. That is only my advice to you.
Correct.
So I say, love your children, bring up your children, but keep their mentality to open. Make them free-minded.
Correct.
Let them commit to anything, whatever they want to commit after that when they grow.
Correct.
And to education, I say, whatever education line you follow,
Correct.
whatever subject you follow, study them sincerely and whatever depth you can.
Correct.
Ultimately, you will succeed.
True.
That's only. Do whatever job you do also in your life, do it sincerely. Even if you do not like it, do it sincerely.
Correct.
But don't make it yourself that you are a burden to the people.
Correct.
And that is how. And in the life, get settled within 2-3 years. Whatever change you want to make within job arrangement for 2, 3, 4 years. Because if you go on changing job every 2, 3, 4 years, you will not settle in life.
Correct.
Fix up the goal. That this is goal. And then you will succeed in life ultimately. So work hard, work sincerely, ultimately you will succeed.
Thank you so much. So we were in conversation with Dr. B.A. Parikh sir. He has shared with us the entire life experience from student to principal to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, from writer to a person with full of honesty, trustworthy, following the important principles like integrity, honesty, and dedication for his work. We appreciate his contribution for the education sector and we wish him very all the best in life and are once again thankful to him and a sincere gratitude from CA Media Group. Thank you much.
One more thing, you
Yes.
may or may not add later. Member and chairman of the volunteer board,
Oh.
administrative board.
Jesus.
I became vice chancellor, naturally I had to give up that job. After retirement, I was invited by the management of the society. Sir, you come to our board, you are very important and valuable for us. So I again joined the managing committee of the Sarojini Education Society
Correct.
from 2000 onwards. So only from 1991 to 2000, I was out of society. But 2000 onwards, I was in the society managing committee. I was made the chairman of the academic committee.
Correct.
I was made the vice president, number 2 for 2 years. Vice president of the whole society,
Correct.
number 1 for 2 years. And again, I was made the president of the society. And I retired completely in 2020 September.
All right.
So even after retirement, my services were for the Sarojini Society.
Great. That is the dedication and hard work he has given. And which will be definitely remembered for the years.
If you can fail, you can include this.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And the chairmen who are there, so they have been my students. They have played in my compound, in my college campus.
Correct.
Out nearby society, they would stay. Yatish, Parikh, Kashyap, Mehta, and all these things. They are our neighbors.
Correct.
They used to come and play with my children.
Correct.
So I was them to a very Maras.
Correct.
So I am happy that I have enjoyed the status, respect in society, in my family. Say, out of way, we are 7 brothers and sisters.
Correct.
There are 70 members of our family,
Correct.
our Parikh brother family. We all are one today. And whatever problem is there in 5 families, they would say, Mota bhai ne pucho. They would come to Mota bhai. Even family problems, relation problems, even my cousins, my father's brother's children, they also are very dedicated to me and they would come on me advice. Today, only last month, we have to go. So some 70 people here came from different places of Ahmedabad, Baroda, elsewhere. And they are all happy. I also feel happy. I also look after them. If anybody has a problem, I will be the first man to give them ring and go personally.
Correct.
Even financially, of course, nobody needs or will. But even if it is there, I would go and help them. When my mother expired, one of my youngest sister, she was in little trouble. I said, don't bother. No drinks, but however, whenever I went to NCC training camp, there are the military officers and with the officers club, evening they would enjoy drink. I would take only beer, nothing more than that. I have no taste for more than that. But that